I was on a little bit earlier this morning, and customers started coming in and phones started ringing, and so we jumped off, but we're going to get back to it. We got still a whole bunch of knives to do, so we're going to get to it. These are the buck tool slow speed buck tool slow speed machines. This is a Cubitron C120 belt. And all these knives are, well, A, they're inexpensive, and B, they are badly abused. Hello, Cindy. I see you're on. Hey, Bernie. We got some badly abused knives that we're trying to get an edge back on. Hey, Gavin, how are you? Saying we were on a little bit earlier this morning, and all of a sudden the rush came in. We had a bunch of customers come up. And of course we had the phone ringing. I guess people realize that Thanksgiving's in a couple of days, and they suddenly realize they got to carve a turkey. So they want all their knives sharpened right away. So I actually did a couple on the spot. One guy drove about a half an hour to get here. And he had like four, I think they were Shun knives. And I thought, we could just do this while he waits. It only took me about, 10 or 15 minutes. So I just told him if he wanted to wait, I'd get them done for him. But of course, now I got to get to all the ones that I've had piling up, all the drop-offs. This is one of those knives that, because it's a cheap metal, the burr kind of, you see the burr forming, and then it goes away just as fast as it forms because the metal is just flaking off. So you can see, let me get some light over here for you guys. See what I mean about badly abused knives? We got to go once more with this one. Okay, I think that'll do it. Got about 3 more here. And this is a lot of grinding for a P120 belt. And that's because these knives are so badly worn and so dull. I don't know how he cut anything with them, to be honest with you. I might as well be sharpening the back of the knife for how sharp these are. Oh, nice. Thank you, Barney. I appreciate that. Now that just gives a link to come over to YouTube to see it. Is that right? Okay, let's head over to Cubitron or the Trizac. Gotta keep my belt straight. Nice. That sounds great, Barney. I appreciate you putting that all together. It's going to be pretty cool, especially once we get, you know, a number of people on there. How long have I been doing this for? As a business, I started, well, late last year. I really kind of advertised for customers and started doing stuff and posted my first video right around January 1st of this year. So it's been almost a year. I did sharpen my own knives, and I started sharpening for some friends, some neighbors, and then I finally decided I'd go ahead and start doing it a little bit more as a business. So it's been about a year. I invented sharpening. Yeah, thanks, Barney. Why? Because I molded in dirt? I think Mike is the one that invented sharpening. Some of these you can barely see a burr on it. Like I said, these are all inexpensive knives. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sharpening edge trailing instead of leading. Because I find that with these inexpensive knives and cheaper metals, for me, they sharpen up easier doing edge trailing. Earlier today, for example, I did some Shun knives, and those I did edge leading, and I used my angle guide to do them. Okay, let's do some strapping on these, and I think probably going to do the same thing on these. Sorry if it's a big dark, guys. I still got to work with my lighting a little bit. Okay. Moving all my knives over because I don't have a lot of workbench space. So I move the knives all to one side, and then I set them here as I sharpen. So there's a gap so I know where I left off. I use the Scotch-Brite really lightly. It just kind of helps take that burr off. And then we go to leather to finish it up. And again, I find that on the shoes I did earlier, I didn't have to do the Scotch-Brite, I just went straight to the leather. But these knives, because, again, they're inexpensive in the type of metal, you get a very foily edge on them. And that burr just does not want to come off with just the leather. So I run them along that Scotch-Brite to get rid of all those little foil bits. And I'm just running it really light. Just kind of grabs them and tears them off. And then I hone that edge down with the leather. And I can see, you may not be able to see it on camera, but I can see it on the Scotch-Brite when there's still that foily edge sitting there and when it's gone. So I usually go back and forth. Like I say, I'm still seeing it coming up. Just in the very back right here. Right here on the tip. There we go. Yeah, Mike is definitely from Texas, that's for sure. See him sometimes when he goes out and takes his morning walk at 4:45 in the morning. I'm thinking, man, I know Texas gets really hot in the summer, but this time of year when we're only 40 degrees outside and he's walking around in a t-shirt, I'm thinking, oh, how nice that would be. Almost there. Got one more after this to get that burr off, and then check some sharpness. A little bit right at the back. There we go. Lots of burr on this one. The only other thing about the Scotch-Brite wheel, just because of the way it runs, it tends to build up a lot of static. Sometimes when I come across, I get a big spark that jumps from the motor right to my fingers, which is always fun. Keeps you awake. Okay. So, let's come over. We'll do some paper test cuts. See if we got these things indeed sharp. Yeah, see? I'll play with that one. That's how they should cut. See, it's having a little problem biting in. Not smooth. Okay, I'm going to do my little trick here. Something that I do. I hold the paper this way and I poke it through. And I slide this down. Now the reason I do that is sometimes if there's just a little bit of micro burr on there, that'll actually take it off. And then we'll start cutting fine. I want to hone that a little more too. Wow, every one of these. This is what I hate about these inexpensive knives. They can really be a bear to get a really good sharpness on them. And I can tell you they're sharp, just not as sharp as I like them to be. See there? And of course, my paper tends to be a little damp. Oh. See the difference? Once you get that burr off there, if there's a little bit of burr left, it will. Now this one, I'm honestly not sure. Oh, that's not too bad. Kind of surprised, actually. I didn't think it was going to cut that well, but it is. Okay, next one. See? Again. Nope. That's 3 we're going to redo. There's number 4. Don't like that one either. I'm just acing out today on these things. It is sharp because once I got it in there, it's cutting really well. It's just not biting the edge. Oops, sorry guys. You didn't really see that, did you? See, it just doesn't want to cut through there. So I think what I'm going to do on these, because I think I'm just dealing with that cheap metal burr that forms on these. So, and it seems like if I strop a little by hand on a lot of them, it'll make a world of difference. It's not really cutting the way I want it to. There it goes. Okay. I'm good with that. See, some of these it's just burr. Burr, burr, burr. And again, I almost never have to do these with a good quality knife, Wusthof or Henkel or Schoon. They tend to sharpen and deburr very well. These really cheap knives, sometimes I think it's akin to sharpening aluminum foil. There you go. So just because it doesn't cut paper the first time doesn't mean it's not sharp. It can easily mean that you're just getting some micro burr that's sticking on there, especially, like I said, with these inexpensive knives. You know, when you buy a knife like this for $3 or $4, it's probably not that cheap, but you get the idea. And every one of these that was completely grabbing the paper and wouldn't cut, after a little bit of hand stropping, are now going right through the paper. So, and after a while, you kind of start to see that pattern when you've done enough knives. Okay. So those are all set to go. So I'm just going to clean them up, get some sheaths on them. Yeah, same thing. Dragging them on the end of a softwood. Like you could use like a pine like this. And you could just drag them just like this along the edge. And it'll tear that burr off. And I have used that method sometimes. And it does work. I just like to make sure I'm getting a nice straight edge, I guess. And I've tried cork too. That's another one. It's using a little bit of cork and running it along the cork. Can pull that burr right off too and sharpen it up. Just for some reason, the leather wheel on these particular knives, and even using Scotch-Brite to try to get that burr off, just doesn't always get it all off like you would expect. But it's all part of the learning process, you know? And this guy, this is only like half of his knives. He brought over a whole bucket full of knives. And it's not like I'm overly expensive, but when he realized how much it was going to cost him to do like 30 knives, he was like, oh, so let me pick out some of my ones I like using, my favorites, so to speak. And we'll get those sharpened, and then later on, I'll get the other one. So I said, that's fine. You know, he kept asking me for a discount, but I'm really about as low as I can go anyway. So I got to pull another stack of sheaths. And then on some of these, see, these are getting just long enough. Well, 6 inches. Might be able to do that. If I can, I will cut them. I think my scissors might need to be sharpened. Wonder who could do that for me. Hey guys, by the way, it should be appreciated. We're at 494 for subscribers. And our goal was to hit 500 by the end of the year. And we're almost there. And I'd like to Like to hit that before Thanksgiving and then start working on next year's goals. I'd like to hit like 1,000 subscribers by like March or April. I have to look and see where we're at and how fast things are going and progressing. But it should be nice to hit that 500 now. And then I would be getting a jump on my next year's goal. And I know the goal is 1,000. What I have to figure out is what's the time frame going to be. This one's a little longer than 6 inches, so I'm just going to go ahead and use a whole sheet on that one. I think these are going to be the same. Yep, they're a little longer, so. When I get a knife that's under 6 inches, I'll go ahead and cut the sheath. I cut it in half. So I'm not using quite as many sheaths, but if they're over 6, having all those little pieces sitting around just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sheaths aren't that expensive. I think they're 5 or 6 cents a piece, something like that. And it all adds up. So anyway, so if you guys subscribe, I sure appreciate it. We'd love to hit that goal by Thanksgiving if we can. It's only a couple of days. And then if you hit that like button, it'll help show it to more people and spread the word, so to speak. You can see how dusty everything gets. That's why we wear a mask when I'm actually doing the sharpening. Once I'm done with sharpening, I usually just rip it off. I don't like wearing a mask. I actually have COPD, so I have to be really careful with the dust. But believe it or not, the mask restricts breathing a little bit, and normally that wouldn't be a big deal. When you have COPD, that's a huge deal. It really makes you feel like you're suffocating sometimes. And I had to really search around to find a mask that would work for me, that was more of a free breathing and didn't restrict my breathing, yet filtered everything out. So, and I will give you more information on that here soon in a video about the mask that I use. So let's see, where are we at? I think that's it. Okay, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for watching. A little bit here, I got to go pick up my wife, and then I got a ton more knives to do. I think I got another 15 or 16 over there. So I'm going to have to either do those tonight or first thing in the morning. We'll see how things go. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Barney, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys later. Have a great day.